Chapter 59. Addison. I wrapped my fingers around the doorframe and used the grip to haul myself forward. The last pair of shoulders released their hold on me, and I slipped into the cafeteria. A band off to the left led the crowd through amazing grace. I followed a short line of people that led me right to Cameron. I gasped at his appearance. Why was he laying in a motorized wheelchair? Deep wrinkles covered his face. Sharp edges of facial bones replaced the full, round face I was used to seeing. Why were his eyes closed? What was that on his shirt? Aaron stood behind him, holding Cam's left arm out past the edge of the wheelchair, as patient after patient streamed past him. Their demeanors changed instantly upon passing him. The same police officer who pulled me over marched toward Cameron slightly faster than the line. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. "Aaron, how's your father?" I shouted to be heard above the music and the celebration of those in the room. He looked up and found my face amid the crowd. His face twisted in pain before he leaned forward and rested his elbow on the wheelchair. He shook his head and kept speaking toward the patients. I pulled next to the officer and grabbed his walker. "Get out of my way. That's my husband up there." He stumbled but caught himself. He glared at me and then pulled a set of handcuffs off his belt. "I was saving these for your husband, but I have an extra set if needed." I screamed at him. "Why are you doing this? Can't you see the good he's doing in the world? Doesn't that trump anything you think he did wrong?" "Tell that to my wife, who's at home crying from guilt." "Then maybe you should have brought her here instead of those handcuffs. Don't you see what's happening? He's healing everyone, of everything, and it's killing him. This is it, his last stand. He can't live in a world full of people like you." I spit out the last word, and then continued toward Cameron. The singer's rhythm slowed, and the guitar stopped altogether. "Yes, when this flesh and heart shall fail, and mortal life shall cease, I shall possess within the veil a life of joy and peace." I was too late. Aaron kept working on the last few patients, but Cameron's chest was still. I closed my eyes. Lord, welcome Cameron back into your kingdom, and keep him this time. Thank you for the extra time you gave us with him. Please make sure he finds Sarah right away. Give Aaron strength to handle the loss of his father. A ratcheting sound of metal on metal opened my eyes, in time to see handcuffs latch across my dead husband's wrist. He secured the other end of the wheelchair. You've got to be kidding me. Aaron and my eyes met, and I could see the pleading in his eyes. He didn't want me to explode, and so I took a breath instead. Only one patient remained in line. Aaron waved her forward and rested Cam's hand on her shoulder. Next, his hand shot out and grabbed the officer's right wrist and pulled him down, eliciting a surprised groan. The officer adjusted himself and reached his left hand toward his belt and the stun gun stuffed into a holster. "Kid, you're going to regret—" Aaron stared at him with an intensity that silenced the officer. "I will restore you to health and heal your wounds, for the old order of things is passing away." After he'd spoken, he released the officer's wrist and stood up. I wrapped him in the tightest motherly embrace I could, and then we sobbed. The officer spun around with a second set of cuffs in his right hand. He reached out toward Aaron and then halted. He put his left hand on his back and twisted each direction. Then he bent over and touched his toe. "My pain," he said, standing back up. "It's gone." "Of course it is. My dad healed you." Aaron looked down at his lifeless father. "And you put him in chains as he was dying." When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we've first begun. The soloist lowered her microphone and waited for the guitarist to play through the verse one last time, before placing it back on its stand. Everyone in the room joined in a resounding applause, but they looked in Cam's direction. Natalie and Alex held each other behind the wheelchair. Once the applause faded, Hans spoke. "I'm sorry, Addison. I'm afraid Cameron has died." I nodded. "I know. Thank you for your help with my husband. You've had an incredible transformation these last few weeks." "Indeed." He opened his arms and spun in a circle. "Look around. Your husband healed them all, every last child in this hospital. But now I find myself in an unfamiliar place. I have no job, and now no mentor. I'm not sure what I'll do next." "Did Cam not talk to you?" "About what?" I rubbed Cam's shoulder. He always wanted me to do the talking, unusual for an ER doctor. "There was nothing usual about Cameron Turner," he said. No, there wasn't. But before he died, he did a few side jobs for an insurance company that paid very well. We don't need that kind of money, but since they offered it, who were we to say no? He wanted to open a mission-based medical clinic somewhere overseas to help improve the lives of the disadvantaged, and he wanted you to run it. The look on his face seemed like a mix of astonishment, humility, and excitement. The competing emotions all rushed toward his mouth and exited as a jumbled mess of words. He took a breath to compose himself and then tried again. "Yes, of course I'll do it. I'd be honored to run the Turner Clinic." Wonderful. He'd be so happy to hear that. "Let's talk more in a few days about it." Hans hugged me and then led his friends away, leaving me alone with Aaron and the officer. "I'll remove those cuffs now," he said. "Wait, before you do, are you familiar with the story behind Amazing Grace?" He shook his head. "I just know it's a church hymn." "It's so much more than that. It was written by a man who had been active in the slave trade. God delivered him from imminent death many times, but it was an experience in a storm in the middle of the Atlantic that changed his heart forever. He'd gone from handling men in chains to working as a preacher and hymn writer. This song begins as a lament over his early years and ends as a celebration of his transformation into a believer. I'm so sorry for what I put your family through these last few days. I didn't deserve to be healed." "Sir, none of us do," said Aaron. "That's the beauty of grace." The officer nodded as he removed the cuffs from Cameron. "You've given me a lot to reflect on. I'm going to head home and apologize to my wife." "That's a great place to start," I said. After he'd gone, I turned back toward Cam and touched his shirt. "Is that pizza sauce?" "Yes, we each had a piece before he started down here," said Alex. "Pepperoni?" He said it was his favorite. I couldn't help but laugh. He was Cam even until the end. It was. Natalie and Alex hugged us and paid their respects to Cameron before leaving to enjoy their new life together. "Mom," said Aaron. "Yes, dear." "I'm pretty sure Dad was already dead when we healed those last few people, including the police officer. How could that happen?" I took his hand in mine. I wondered about that myself. What if God transferred the gift to you? He speaks about generational blessings. In the Bible, Aaron worked as Moses' helper, right? I was Dad's helper today. Yes, you sure were, and Moses let Aaron have the power to perform miracles. "So maybe it was just temporary?" he asked. "I'm not sure I can handle another miracle worker in the family." "Do you want it to be temporary?" My soon-to-be teenager dropped my hand and wrapped his arm around me instead. "I don't know, but I'd like to find out."